All new Kaguyamon is here to support Cendrillmon and the Liberator puppet deck with the updates, and let's go ahead and show you guys my most current build. The Liberator puppet trait deck focuses on a yellow base and traditionally digivolving up the stack so that you can play out your puppet tokens, which then you can delete for additional effects. And when the tokens are deleted, you get to DP reduce your opponent's board with other DP reduction effects racking up massively to remove anything you want from their side. The main game plan and win condition is to play aggressively and dish out as many attacks as you can, alongside with the overclock keyword mechanic. By deleting one of your own puppet trait Digimon or tokens, you get to attack at the end of turn to a player directly without the need to suspend. By doing that with Cendrillmon and synergizing it with the new Kaguyamon that provides it alliance and blocker, you can now dish out even more powerful attacks in one single blow. And by establishing both of them on the board, that will be your key to winning your games in no time. And with that being said, let's go ahead and begin with deck profile, starting with the Digi-Egg cards, where I'm running 4 copies of the ST19 Kaguyamon. It is our main source of draw power whenever we attack, as long as there is another Digimon on our board as well, which tokens count too. Now let's talk about our level 3s. I'm running 4 copies of the Shumon from Starter Deck 19, which is our main searcher of the deck. Grabbing anything that is puppet trait as well as Liberator, we can effectively get 2 hits consistently with this card alone, which is absolute value. Its inherent effect gives minus 3000 DP to the opponent's security Digimon. Then for the EX7 Shumon, which I'm also running 4 copies of, helps us reduce our Digivolution cost when we climb up into our level 4. And its inherent effect does exactly the same thing as the other Shumon does. And then to wrap up for Shumons, I'm running 2 copies of the promo one just to slow down the attacks that the opponents may have by giving them security -1 whenever we play it out. And then with its inherent effect, we can DP reduce the opponent's Digimon by 2000 whenever we attack. And then to round for the rest of the rookies, I'm running the 2 copies of the all-new Hanimon, which lets us record resources back from the trash whenever we play it out by trashing a card from our hand. Its inherent effect negates the opponent's attacks once returned by deleting one of our other Digimon. And the reason why I recommend running at least 12 rookies in this deck is because you tend to play them out by effects from your hand, either from Arisa or Chaperonemon quite often. As we move on to the level 4s, I'm playing 4 copies of the promo Shumon from the tournament pack. It can play itself out from security after battle, and when you play it out or digivolve into it, you can play out a familiar token alongside with it. Now keep in mind, this familiar token gets deleted at the end of the opponent's turn. Just like all the other familiar tokens out there, when it gets deleted, you get to minus 3000 DP to your opponent's Digimon as well. Aside from that, its inherent effect provides barrier, which can come up every now and then, but thanks to all the DP reduction that we have on the opponent's security, we generally don't really need to use it as much, but we can defend ourselves whenever the opponent's Digimon try to swing over our big bosses. As for the EX7 Shumon, I'm running 2 copies of it just to help us play out our Arisas in the early stages of the game whenever we digivolve into it. Security effect, just like all the other Shumons, minus 3000 DP to the opponent's security Digimon. And then to round for the rest of the level 4s, with the new inclusion, I'm running 3 copies of Kukeshimon. When you digivolve or when it gets deleted, by trashing a card from your hand, you can DP reduce your opponent's Digimon by 4000 until the end of the turn. And its inherent effect, just like Hanimon, you can end the opponent's attacks by deleting one of your other Digimon. This card is generally really good to help you meet further DP reduction thresholds, which the deck didn't have before, so that you can remove bigger bodies on your opponent's side. And now as we move on to level 5s, the all-new Karukumon is a must inclusion, and you definitely run this as a 4 of in the deck now. Because when you digivolve, you get to delete one of your puppet trait Digimon on the side or a token to immediately digivolve further into your level 6 for free. You can go into Cendrillmon or Kaguyamon of your choice. As a matter of fact, you also get to do the same thing when you hard drop this card too. This is the main key card that helps excel your combos so much faster than before, and you can easily start pressuring against your opponents, which is always the one that you want to see when you combo off. And its inherent effect is exactly the same with all the other Chaperonemons that we're most familiar with. To provide the protection whenever it would leave the battle area, except by our own effects, we can just easily delete a token or another puppet trait on the side to prevent it from leaving. Speaking of Chaperonemon, now I'm running 3 copies of the one from EX7, which has exactly the same inheritable like I mentioned. This one has the overclock ability, so then we can attack at the end of the turn, and whenever we digivolve into this card, we can instantly play out a level 3 puppet trait Digimon from our hand for free. That's it for level 5s. Now let's talk about level 6s, starting with the new inclusion. Let's talk about Kaguyamon, which I'm running 3 copies of. By digivolving on top of any of your puppet trait just for 3 costs, it gives you a massive insane amount of effects because it gives all your puppet trait Digimon alliance and blocker. With your tokens, you can defend against yourself or otherwise go for multiple checks at the same time together to deal massive damage into your opponent's security. All turns, when any other Digimon is deleted, you get to instantly delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level on the board. This is the perfect combo and synergy whenever you use Overclock to delete your own tokens so that I can proc this effect. But that's not all. You can also work together with Hanimon's and Kokeshimon's inherent effect to further control the board even more as you delete to negate attacks. Lastly, at the end of turn, you can play out any level 4 or lower puppet trait back from your trash. One thing I love to do is to play out the Shumon to search again and grab more pieces, or even play out the promo Shushumon, which then allows me to play out another token to go super wide. And then for our other level 6, of course, we still need to play Cendrillmon at the end of the day, which I'm playing 3 copies of the one from EX7. This is our main offensive attacker boss Digimon because it has overclock itself when we Digivolve into it, and at the every start of our main phase, we get to continuously dish out our familiar tokens over and over again so that we can expend it during the turn. As we attack with her, we get to DP reduce the opponent's Digimon by 6,000, which is not even once per turn. And the whole idea is to climb up into your Cendrillmon stack first, and then eventually set up a Kaguyamon, which will further amplify her damage, which you guys can see the perfect synergy between the sisters. We're also going to be getting even more new Cendrillmon support in BT22, and if you guys are fans of this archetype and want to see me update this deck when it comes, definitely make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell to stay tuned, or you can even join the AVAULT Club to see early deck lists when I post them, and I greatly appreciate the support. That's it for all of our Digimon. Now let's talk about our Tamers. I'm running 3 copies of the EX7 Arisa just to help us gain memory at the start of main as long as the opponent has a Digimon on the board. And with her secondary effect, we can float out additional puppet trait Digimon from our hand whenever of our tokens or puppet trait Digimon are deleted. Then I'm running 2 copies of the Memory Setter Arisa just to provide our puppet tokens rush whenever we need to so that we can dish out additional attacks. And lastly, I'm currently only running 1 copy of Mirai as an additional searcher and also giving us a secondary effect to reduce our play cost of our Arisa or puppets from hand by 3. Now you guys might be wondering why I'm only running 1 copy of Mirai at the moment. I do know that there's some really neat combos that you can pull off along together with the promo Arisa as well, but throughout most of my playtesting, I realized I'd rather focus more on my searching option cards to ensure that I can find my stack building pieces as quickly and as optimally as possible. Therefore, to round off the rest of the options, I'm running 4 copies of Physical Training, 3 copies of Yellow Memory Boost, and 3 copies of Yellow Scramble. Now, the reason why I'm also running an extra copy of Yellow Scramble compared to normal is that I realized the deck goes through a lot of level 3s very quickly, and often enough, a lot of them end up in the trash. Therefore, having that recursion really helps grab that extra piece that you need so that you can have the choice to Digivolve in the back to reclimb into another stack that you need to set up, or potentially play it out from your hand with the EX7 Arisa's effect so you can keep it constantly going and going. Tech choices and other cards that you guys can also include for this build. Now, when I initially playtested, I was heavily considered running the EX2 Viximon as my main egg instead to provide me the draw power. And that's because my game plan is to establish as many options as possible on the board, and by searching, getting that extra draw before having to attack with the Kaguyamon instead is actually way more beneficial because it gives me that draw power that I need to make my plays and make decisions before even committing to actual attacks, which I normally only do so when I go into Cendrillmon. And the main reason to that is that I still feel the deck lacks quite a bit on draw power, where the Viximon gives you that earlier than the Kaguyamon does. But if you're also looking for additional draw power, you can also play the Pawn Chessmon that has the on play. By trashing 1 puppet trait card from your hand, you get to draw 2 instantly. And with inherent effect, you get to get reboot as well. Another card that gives you draw power within the archetype in the form of option, there's Wonder Stomp, and then you get to play a level 3 puppet from your hand for free. Just for the 2 memory costs, you can sometimes climb all the way up into a level 6 and reestablish your board presence once again. Another interesting tech that you can include is also Namakamon from BT16. It is a full black Digimon card, but it is a level 4 puppet trait, which means you can play it off of Kaguyamon's effect, and you can easily toss it away from your hand to the trash with Kokeshimon's effect to set it up in there. And the main idea by playing it out with Kaguyamon's effect, you can then utilize this on-play effect to give one of your Digimon D-Digivolve and DP reduction protection that lasts until the end of your opponent's turn. D-Digivolving is actually one of the main weaknesses of this deck to play around it. So with this card, you can cover those grounds, making your deck even more invincible than before. And if you choose to include this card in the deck, also consider running CPM Memory Boost, as it can help you search and grab this card as a potential target as well. And since this is a yellow and purple deck after all, you can always consider topping it off with a level 7, such as Shine Greymon Ruin Mode to lock out your opponents. Or you can even include Shine Greymon Burst Mode Ace to counter against your opponents to dish out additional Tamer whenever you stand at level 6. Then there is also the Promo Arisa, which I mentioned earlier, which works way better together if you play additional copies of Mirai. And this is where the crazy chain of combos can happen. When you Digivolve into a puppet trait Digimon while you have Mirai on the board, you bottom deck her to play out this Arisa from your hand for free, and once she's unplayed, you get to play out a Shumon from your hand for free as well, and then afterwards you're constantly going to be gaining memory turn after turn as you Digivolve up your stack. And if you ever pull that off, you get a ton of value for the entire course of the game. The only reason why I'm not running this particular combo is because I feel like it's very piece reliant and you need to have all those specific cards in your hand in order to pull it off. Therefore, I'd rather once again focus more on my consistency with the option cards with my current build once again. And if you're looking for additional removal in the form of DP reduction, you can also run Noble Family Arts to reduce your opponent's Digimon by 6000 DP, just like what Cendrillmon does. And it's relatively easy to achieve with the second effect to reduce another 6k because you usually have your Cendrillmon plus a token and the opponent's Digimon on the board to do it again. Combos and how to play the all-new Kaguyamon along with the updated Cendrillmon, Shumon puppet deck. Starting with your mulligan hand, you want to find cards that can search, Yellow Memory Boost, Physical Training. These are the cards that I want to gather and find my pieces because it is a traditional stack building deck, so that you want to Digivolve from your 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. Shumons, ideally the EX7 to reduce your Digitalization cost to go into your Shushu, Shushu into your level 5 Karakuru, Karakuru can then delete token and then Evo into any of your level 6s, ideally Cendrillmon or Kaguyamon for free. What I generally like to do is establish Cendrillmon first on the board for removal and aggressive attacks, and then eventually support it with Kaguyamon with a second stack to go for explosive damage and potentially even OTK the opponents out of nowhere. Overall, the game plan is very simple. You just want to attack as much as you can during your own turn and at the end of turn with Overclock to deal damage to your opponents and force them to respond to your board, and if they're not able to, you just keep relentlessly attacking again and again with a lot of aggression to win your games. Starting with the first combo, I'm going to show you guys how you can climb all the way up into a level 6 with the EX7 Shumon, and all you need is 1 memory. With this new line, it's just absolutely insane. So your opponent's going to put you on 1 memory, you're going to start your turn like that, push out your Shumon, and Digivolve into Shumon, which reduces the cost by 1 thanks to Shumon. Shumon, when Digivolving, is going to play out this token, familiar token, which is going to get deleted during the end of the opponent's turn. And when these tokens get deleted, you get to DP reduce the opponent's Digimon by 3000 DP, and itself also has 3000 DP. Next, we're going to Digivolve into Karakurumon for 3 costs. With Karakurumon's effect, when Digivolving, we're going to delete the token right here, so that we can Digivolve straight into a Kaguyamon for absolutely 0 cost. With the token being deleted, we also get to reduce one of the opponent's Digimon by 3000 DP. At the end of turn, with Kaguyamon's effect, you get to play something back from the trash. You can play a Shumon to search and grab more pieces, or you can even play out a Shumon right here, which has exact when Digivolving effect as its on play, to play out another token, passing a turn to your opponent's side. What this does is that you're going to have a whole field of blockers to play defensively. And if your opponent ever tries to remove your Kaguyamon with effects or even by battle, you can simply just delete one of your tokens to keep it on the board. And when something's deleted, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level on their side. Or if they try to attack into you, generally into security, you can block with the token, get deleted, minus 3k to something once again, and delete something on their board with Kaguya as well afterwards. For this combo, we're going to repeat a similar one, but this time climbing up into Cendrillmon instead. Once again, push out the Shumon, starting your turn with 1 memory, Digivolving into Shushu for 1 cost, then play out the token, Digivolve into Karakuru for the 3 cost, and then delete the token to Digivolve into Cendrillmon. If your opponent has a level, since the token is deleted, you get to minus 3k to something to your opponent's Digimon, and then when Cendrillmon, when Digivolves, you get to play out a token out as well. Now the memory gauge has passed to your opponent's side, and at the end of turn, you can use Overclock to attack with Cendrillmon. By deleting this token right here, you can attack the player, and because the token was deleted, you're going to minus another 3k to one of your opponent's Digimon, and Cendrillmon's when attacking effect is going to DP reduce one of your opponent's Digimon by another 6k. You get to draw for attacking, and this is going to swing into your opponent's security with 12k, also minusing 3000 DP to the security Digimon. And if Cendrillmon would ever be deleted by something big in battle, say she runs into something that is massive DP like 16k, even after minusing 3k, it's still at 13. You can use barrier to trash your own security as long as you have it to protect her from battle. The only important decision when it comes to making this overclock attack is that you sacrifice one of your tokens, which could have been your protecting source for Karakurumon to prevent your Cendrillmon from leaving the battle area. That's why it's important to analyze your matchup and know what your opponent's trying to do next. If you know they have a effect that can remove Cendrillmon, then it's ideal to keep that token here on the board instead, and then attack in the following turn. Since Cendrillmon at the start of main continues to populate tokens over and over, it is very important to try to keep her alive on the board and stick on there as long as possible. For this next combo, I'm going to show you guys the crazy puppet spawning that you can repeat over and over again with many tokens and play bodies back out to establish an insane wide board to make multiple attacks, multiple chunks, and set up for your lethal game-winning plays. So with this setup, we're going to have both Arisas. We can have either a yellow memory boost or physical training, and then we're also going to have a yellow scramble in our hand. Just like always, we're going to try to utilize the EX9 Decks as much as we can. We're going to push out, and assuming the opponent has a Digimon on the board, we're going to gain a memory off the 3-cost Arisa. Digivolve for 1 cost into Shushuumon, like always, to play out a token. Now with physical training delay, we're going to Digivolve into Kaguyamon for 1 cost. Deleting this token to Digivolve into Cendrillmon first, like I always say, it's always ideal to establish this one first and then eventually go into Kaguyamon. Since the token is deleted, we get to minus something by 3000 DP. And then Cendrillmon's when Digivolving effect is going to kick in to play another token. Now because a token or puppet trait was deleted, we get to suspend this Arisa to play out a Shumon from our hand. And then because we played out a Shumon, we can also suspend this to give this rush. In order to maximize our output of our damage, we can choose to make an attack here or not, as long as it's safe to do so. We're going to go ahead and swing with Cendrillmon, draw a card with Kaguyamon, and we also get to DP reduce something by 6k here. Just like before, if we ever would leave the battle area, we get to protect it with Kawakuru by deleting another token, or if we would delete by battle, we can use Barrier to trash our top security instead. Now we're repeating the same all over again, Digivolving into Shushuumon, reducing the cost by 1, and then we get to play out another token. Now we're going to use Yellow Scramble for 2 costs to Digivolve into Kaguyamon. With Kaguyamon, we're going to delete the token that we just played to now establish Kaguyamon. Since the token was deleted, we get to minus something by 3k once again. And now this is where we proceed to our end of turn. We can use Kaguyamon's effect first to play something back from trash, just like before. If we can ever play the promo Shushuumon, which is absolutely insane, we can use this on play again to play out a token. And then we can also use Cendrillmon to go for Overclock, deleting the token, minusing something by another 3000 DP, and go for the checks. And we can also choose the Alliance right here. And because something was deleted, Kaguyamon is going to delete the opponent's lowest level Digimon on their board, and Cendrillmon is going to minus another 6000 DP for 1 attacking, which is not once per turn, and then that's going to be for 2 checks. This combo puts your opponents to 1 memory, and if they're not able to play around and remove this board in their following turn, you simply win the game with all the multiple attacks all over again. There's so many disruptions right here. If the opponent tries to attack into you, you have blockers thanks to Kaguyamon. If they try to remove you by effects, you have the protection of Kaguyamon, or if they try to remove you by battle, you always have Barrier, giving you a complete protection all around. The Mega Machine Playmat and Sleeves are live on the AVAULT Store, so make sure to grab yours right now. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, whatever you are. See you in the next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.